Chapter 49. Manumission of slaves. Chapter 1. The manumission and its superiority. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "Whoever frees a Muslim slave, Allah will save all the parts of his body from the hellfire, as he has freed the body parts of the slave." Sa'id bin Marjana said that he had narrated that hadith to Ali bin al-Hussein, and he freed his slave for whom Abdullah bin Jafar had offered him 10,000 dirhams or 1,000 dinars. Chapter 2. What is the best kind of manumission of slaves? Narrated Abu Dar. I asked the Prophet, "What is the best deed?" He replied, "To believe in Allah and to fight for His cause." I then asked, "What is the best kind of manumission of slaves?" He replied, "The manumission of the most expensive slave and the most beloved by his master." I said, "If I can't afford to do that?" He said, "Help the weak or do good for a person who cannot work for himself." I said, "If I cannot do that?" He said, "Refrain from harming others, for this will be regarded as a charitable deed for your own good." Chapter 3. Manumitting slaves at the time of eclipses. Narrated Asma bint Abu Bakr. The Prophet ordered us to free slaves at the time of solar eclipses. Narrated Asma bint Abu Bakr. We were ordered to free slaves at the time of lunar eclipses. Chapter 4. If one manumits a male slave owned by two persons. Narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, "Whoever manumits a slave owned by two masters should manumit him completely, not partially. If he is rich after having its price evaluated." Narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's Messenger said, "Whoever frees his share of a common slave and he has sufficient money to free him completely, should let its price be estimated by a just man and give his partners the price of their shares and manumit the slave. Otherwise, if he has not sufficient money, he manumits the slave partially." Narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger said, "Whoever manumits his share of a slave, then it is essential for him to get that slave manumitted completely, as long as he has the money to do so. If he has not sufficient money to pay the price of the other shares after the price of the slave is evaluated justly, the manumitted manumits the slave partially in proportion to his share." Narrated Ubaydullah, as above briefly. Narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, "He who manumits his share of a slave and has money sufficient to free the remaining portion of the slave's price justly estimated, then he should manumit him by giving the rest of his price to the other co-owners." Nafi added, "Otherwise, the slave is partially free." Ayub is not sure whether the last statement was said by Nafi or if it was a part of the hadith. Narrated Ibn Umar. That he used to give his verdict regarding the male or female slaves owned by more than one master, one of whom may manumit his share of the slave. Ibn Umar used to say in such a case, "The manumitted should manumit the slave completely if he has sufficient money to pay the rest of the price of that slave, which is to be justly estimated, and the other shareholders are to take the price of their shares, and the slave is freed, released from slavery. Ibn Umar narrated this verdict from the Prophet. Chapter 5. Whoever manumitteds his portion of a common slave. Narrated Abu Hurairah that the Prophet said, whoever frees his portion of a common slave. Narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, whoever frees his portion of a common slave should free the slave completely by paying the rest of his price from his money, if he has enough money. Otherwise the price of the slave is to be estimated, and the slave is to be helped to work without hardship till he pays the rest of his price. Chapter 6. Manumission and divorce by mistake or forgetfulness. Narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, Allah has accepted my invocation to forgive what whispers in the hearts of my followers, unless they put it to action or utter it. See Hadith number 657, volume 8. Narrated Umar bin al-Khattab. The Prophet said, the reward of deeds depend on intentions, and every person will get the reward according to what he intends. So whoever migrated for Allah and His Apostle, then his migration will be for Allah and His Apostle. And whoever migrated for worldly benefits or for marrying a woman, then his migration will be for what he migrated for. See Hadith number 1, volume 1. Chapter 7. The witness for manumission. Narrated Qais. When Abu Hurairah, accompanied by his slave, set out intending to embrace Islam, they lost each other on the way. The slave then came while Abu Hurairah was sitting with the Prophet. The Prophet said, O Abu Hurairah, your slave has come back. Abu Hurairah said, Indeed, I would like you to witness that I have manumitted him. That happened at the time when Abu Hurairah recited the following poetic verse, What a long, tedious, tiresome night. Nevertheless, it has delivered us from the land of Kufr, disbelief. Narrated Abu Hurairah. On my way to the Prophet, I was reciting, What a long, tedious, tiresome night. Nevertheless, it has saved us from the land of Kufr, disbelief. I had a slave who ran away from me on the way. When I went to the Prophet and gave the pledge of allegiance for embracing Islam, the slave showed up while I was still with the Prophet, who remarked, O Abu Hurairah, here is your slave. I said, I manumit him for Allah's sake, and so I freed him. Narrated Qais. When Abu Hurairah, accompanied by his slave, came intending to embrace Islam, they lost each other on the way. When the slave showed up, Abu Hurairah said to the Prophet, I make you witness that the slave is free for Allah's cause. Chapter 8. Al-Walad. Narrated Aisha. Utbah bin Abi Waqqas authorized his brother Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas to take the son of the slave girl of Sama into his custody, telling him that the boy was his own illegal son. When Allah's messenger went to Mecca at the time of the conquest, Sa'd took the son of the slave girl of Sama to Allah's messenger and also brought Abu bin Sama with him and said, O Allah's messenger, this is the son of my brother Utbah, who authorized me to take him into my custody. Abu bin Sama said, O Allah's messenger, he is my brother, the son of Sama's slave girl, and he was born on his bed. Allah's messenger looked at the son of the slave girl of Sama and noticed much resemblance to Utbah. Allah's messenger said, It is for you, O Abu bin Sama, as he was born on the bed of your father. Allah's messenger then told Savda bint Sama to observe veil in the in the presence of the boy, as he noticed the boy's resemblance to Utbah, and Sauda was the wife of the prophet. Chapter 9. The selling of a Mudabar. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah. A man amongst us declared that his slave will be freed after his death. The prophet called for that slave and sold him. The slave died the same year. Chapter 10. The Wala of a manumitted slave. Narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's messenger forbade the selling or donating the Wala of a freed slave. Narrated Aisha. I bought Bureira, but her masters put a condition that her Wala would be for them. I told the Prophet about it. He said to me, manumit her, as her Wala will be for the one who pays the price. So I manumitted her. The Prophet called Bureira and gave her the option of either staying with her husband or leaving him. She said, even if he gave me so much money, I will not stay with him. And so she preferred her freedom to her husband. Chapter 11. If the brother or the uncle of somebody was taken as to ransom as a mushrik. Narrated Anas. Some men of the Ansar asked for the permission of Allah's messenger and said, allow us to give up the ransom from our nephew Al-Abbas. The Prophet said to them, do not leave even a dirham of his ransom. Chapter 12. Manumission of a Mushrik. Narrated Hisham. My father told me that Hakim bin Hisham manumitted 100 slaves in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance and slaughtered 100 camels and distributed them in charity. When he embraced Islam, he again slaughtered 100 camels and manumitted 100 slaves. Hakim said, I asked Allah's messenger, O Allah's messenger, what do you think about some good deeds I used to practice in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, regarding them as deeds of righteousness? Allah's apostle said, you have embraced Islam along with all those good deeds you did. Chapter 13. Whoever possessed Arab slaves. Narrated Marwan and Al-Miswar bin Makrama. When the delegates of the tribe of Habassin came to the Prophet and they requested him to return their properties and captives, the Prophet stood up and said to them, I have other people with me in this matter, as you see, and the most beloved statement to me is the true one. You may choose either the properties of or the prisoners, as I have delayed their distribution. The Prophet had waited for them for more than 10 days since his arrival from Taif, so when it became evident to them that the Prophet was not going to return them except one of the two, they said, we choose our prisoners. The Prophet got up amongst the people and glorified and praised Allah as he deserved, and said, then after these brethren of yours have come to us with repentance, and I see it logical to return them the captives. So whoever amongst you likes to do that as a favor, then he can do it, and whoever of you likes to stick to his share till we recompense him from the very first war booty which Allah will give us, then he can do so. Give up the present captives. The people anonymously said, we do that, return the captives willingly. The Prophet said, we do not know which of you has agreed to it and which have not, so go back and let your leaders forward us your decision. So all the people then went back and discussed the matter with their leaders, who returned and informed the Prophet that all the people had willingly given their consent consent to return the captives. This is what has reached us about the captives of Habassin. Narrated Anas that Abbas said to the Prophet, I paid for my ransom and Akil's ransom. Narrated Ibn Awn. I wrote a letter to Nafi, and Nafi wrote in reply to my letter that the Prophet had suddenly attacked Bani Mustalik without warning while they were heedless, and their cattle were being watered at the places of water. Their fighting men were killed, and their women and children were taken as captives. The Prophet got Juwayriyah on that day. Nafi said that Ibn Umar had told him the above narration, and that Ibn Umar was in that army. Narrated Ibn Muhayris. I saw Abu Sa'id and asked him about coitus interruptus. Abu Sa'id said, we went with Allah's apostle in the Ghazwa of Bani al-Mustalik, and we captured some of the Arabs as captives. And the long separation from our wives was pressing us hard, and we wanted to practice coitus interruptus. We asked Allah's Messenger whether it was permissible. He said, it is better for you not to do so. No soul that which Allah has destined to exist up to the day of resurrection, but will definitely come into existence. Narrated Abu Hurairah. I have loved the people of the tribe of Bani Tamim. Ever since I heard three things Allah's Messenger said about them, I heard him saying, these people of the tribe of Bani Tamim would stand firm against Ad-Dajjal. When the Sadaqat, gifts of charity from the tribe came, Allah's Messenger said, these are the Sadaqat, charitable gifts of our folk. Aisha had a slave girl from the tribe, and the Prophet said to Aisha, Manimit her, as she is a descendant of Ishmael the Prophet. Chapter 14. The superiority of him who teaches his slave girl good manners. Narrated Abu Musa. Allah's Messenger said, he who has a slave girl and educates and treats her nicely and then manumits and marries her will get a double reward. Chapter 15. Slaves are your brothers, so feed them with the like of what you eat. Narrated Al-Marud bin Suwaid. I saw Abu Dar al-Ghifari wearing a cloak, and his slave too was wearing a cloak. We asked him about that, how both were wearing similar cloaks. He replied, once I abused a man, and he complained of me to the Prophet. The Prophet asked me, did you abuse him by slighting his mother? He added, your slaves are your brethren, upon whom Allah has given you authority. So if one has one's brethren under one's control, one should feed them with the like of what one eats, and clothe them with the like of what one wears. You should not overburden them with what they cannot bear, and if you do so, help them in their hard job. Chapter 16. A slave who worships his Lord, and he is also honest and faithful to his master. Narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger said, if a slave is honest and faithful to his master, and worships his Lord Allah in a perfect manner, he will get a double reward. Narrated Abu Musa al-Ashari. The Prophet said, he who has a slave girl and teaches her good manners, and improves her education and then Manumission and marries her will get a double reward, and any slave who observes Allah's right and his master's right will get a double reward. Narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's messenger said, a pious slave gets a double reward. Abu Huraira added, by him in whose hands my soul is, but for jihad, yet holy battles, Hajj and my duty to serve my mother, I would have loved to die as a slave. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, goodness and comfort are for him who worships his Lord in a perfect manner and serves his master sincerely. Chapter 17. It is disliked to look down upon a slave. Narrated Abdullah. The Prophet said, if a slave serves his Sayyid, master, sincerely and worships his Lord Allah perfectly, he will get a double reward. Narrated Abu Musa. The Prophet said, the Mamluk slave who worships his Lord in a perfect manner and is dutiful, sincere and obedient to his Sayyid, master, will get a double reward. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, you should not say, feed your Lord, Rabaka, help your Lord in performing ablution or give water to your Lord, but should say, my master, e.g., feed your master instead of Lord, etc. Sayyidi or my guardian, Mawlai, and one should not say, my slave, Abdi, or my girl slave, Amati, but should say, my lad, Fatai, my lass, Fatati, and my boy, Gulami. Narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, if one man emits his share of a common slave, Abd, and he has money sufficient to free the remaining portion of the price of the slave justly estimated, then he should free the slave completely by paying the rest of his price. Otherwise the slave is freed partially. Narrated Abdullah. Allah's messenger said, every one of you is a guardian and is responsible for his charges. The ruler who has authority over people is a guardian and is responsible for them. A man is a guardian of his family and is responsible for them. A woman is a guardian of her husband's house and the children and is responsible for them. A slave, Abu, is a guardian of his master's property and is responsible for it. So all of you are guardians and are responsible for your charges. Narrated Abu Huraira and Zayd bin Khalid. The Prophet said, if a slave girl, Amma, commits illegal sexual intercourse, scourge her. If she does it again, scourge her again. If she repeats it, scourge her again. The narrator added that on the third or the fourth offense, the Prophet said, sell her even for a hair rope. Chapter 18. When your servant brings your meal to you. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, when your servant brings your meals to you, then if he does not let him sit and share the meals, then he should at least give him a mouthful or 2 mouthfuls of that meal, or a meal or 2 meals, as he has prepared it. Chapter 19. The slave is a guardian of the property of his master. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar. That he heard Allah's messenger saying, every one of you is a guardian and is responsible for his charge. The ruler is a guardian and is responsible for his subjects. The man is a guardian in his family and is responsible for his charges. A woman is a guardian of her husband's house and responsible for her charges. And the servant is a guardian of his master's property and is responsible for his charge. I definitely heard the above from the Prophet and think that the Prophet also said, "A man is a guardian of his father's property and responsible for its charges." So every one of you is a guardian and responsible for his charges. Chapter 20. If somebody beats a slave, he should avoid his face. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, if somebody fights or beats somebody, then he should avoid the face.